Hello ladies and gentlemen, Dick Coughlin here, how are you? Yes, I'm finally going to use that fucking thing. Yes, conspiracy theories, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I've been on YouTube for a very long time, and in that time, 9.5 years, I've dealt with a lot of conspiracy theories. In fact, I made a video about it a couple of years ago, I'll leave a link to that below. But I've dealt with your more mainstream conspiracy theories, from your 9/11s, your moon landings, to your more extreme side of it, such as Chinese people are half alien, and Alex Jones's before and after diet pictures. But today I'd like to pay homage to some of the more lesser known, less mainstream conspiracy theories, some of the more nuanced, detailed aspects of conspiracy theories that have given me many belly laughs over the course of my life, and that I believe deserve a hell of a lot more recognition. So I'm Dick Coughlin from whatacuntYouAre.com, and these are the top 6 most unintentionally hilarious conspiracy theories. Number 1, the 9/11 hijackers were not very good pilots. I've already covered some of the more wacky aspects of the 9/11 truth movement, and more specifically the no planes theory. In the more even popular versions of 9/11 conspiracy theories, they contain equally hilarious little details, chief of which for me is the part that questions the piloting skills of the 9/11 hijackers. Truthers like to maintain that the pilots and the hijackers did not possess the skill or training to pull off the 9/11 attacks. Now, contrary to what they will tell you, the hijackers actually did all have private pilot's licenses. In fact, the hijackers that hit their targets even had commercial licenses. Link below to the 9/11 Commission report. I think it's chapter 7. I know you've all read it though, haven't you guys? Most flight professionals will tell you the 3 most difficult aspects of teaching someone how to fly are taking off, landing, and dealing with adverse weather conditions. Well, taking off, the 9/11 hijackers didn't have to worry about that, did they? Landing, no, that was a little bit too easy as well, wasn't it? And as for adverse weather conditions, well, the weather didn't change that much 50 miles from the fucking airport, did it? Presumably, number 4 in the most difficult things to deal with if you're a pilot is dealing with a group of religious extremists attempting to hijack the plane for the purposes of a suicide mission. To quote Brian Marsh, he is the head of the Airline Transport Professionals Flight School, when they took over the plane, it was already in flight. All they had to do was pretty much point and go. It's even easier than driving a car because there are no roads. Basically, what truthers are claiming the 9/11 hijackers could not do was get this plane here into this building here following this flight here. That, according to them, is not possible. When have you ever heard a story in the past where a plane has crashed and the reason for it is that the pilot was just too damn fucking skillful? It's like hearing one of those stories about one of those terrorists who drives a van or a car into a crowd full of people and then people arguing that, well, he wasn't a good enough driver to be able to do that. If there's one thing we can say about any form of transport, folks, it's that it doesn't require any talent to fucking crash. Dancing in the moonlight, everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine exercise. Number 2, the JFK accidental assassin theory. We've all heard the most common JFK conspiracy theory. There was a second gunman on the grassy knoll. It was actually a plot by the CIA. Lee Harvey Oswald was just a patsy, which is why they had to shoot him before they could stand trial. It's a dance as old as time itself. But have you ever considered the possibility that the assassination of JFK was in fact a complete and utter accident? No, of course you haven't. Why would you? That's fucking ridiculous. But nevertheless, that is the belief of a Kansas-based journalist who goes by the name of, I shit you not, Boner Menninger. I'm sure he probably pronounces it Bonaire, but it's Boner Menninger. According to Senor Boner, he said, it's not sexy, it's not rife with intrigue, but for that reason, in my mind, it's extremely compelling, because it's the only theory that hews tightly to the available evidence. Of course it is, my son. Yeah. Now, who accidentally shot JFK? Was it Lee Harvey Oswald? No. It was apparently, according to him, JFK was accidentally shot when one of the Secret Service agents in the car behind him accidentally whoops-a-daisied his fucking pistol. I shit you not. This theory is even more interesting when you consider that he also maintains that Lee Harvey Oswald was also trying to assassinate him at the same fucking time. It was entirely accidental, Menninger said. Unfortunately, fate intervened as this agent was attempting to do his job. So apparently we are supposed to believe that Mr. Bean and Ernest P. Worrell were hired by the Secret Service to protect the President of the United States of America, which inevitably led to one of them being a right old butterfingered dork who inadvertently shot JFK in the head by accident in full view of the general public and whilst on film. And ironically, the only reason he made this slight faux pas was because one of Lee Harvey Oswald's bullets went pinged past him and it scared the living piss out of him, causing him to fumble his weapon. You can just imagine him there going, oh, yeah, God, yes, yeah, oh, no. What are the literal odds of that happening? Number 3, ADL equals ANP. The next two theories both come from the same website, but when it comes to your white supremacist, Jew-hating websites, this is one of the internet's original gangsters. This is the OG. This came before Stormfront. I'm talking about JewWatch.com. JewWatch.com has actually been around since 2004. In fact, in 2004, it actually caused a bit of controversy because it was the first sort of website of its sort, and it managed to get a lot of publicity and lots of people started talking about this website. It was obviously quite a new thing back then. Not Jew-hating, obviously. That's been around since the dawn of time. It resulted in a lot of news sources and web blogs and general information sites linking to JewWatch, which created a Google bomb that led to JewWatch being the first result on Google when you typed in the word Jew. This led to a guy called Stephen Weinstock. He launched an online petition called RemoveJewWatch.com in order to try and get Google to take this website down. And by mid-2004, the website had collected about 125,000 signatures, but it didn't really get anywhere, obviously. Now, one of the interesting things about this website is that it hasn't changed at all since it launched 14 years ago. To be quite frank, that's kind of in keeping with the pathological aversion these people have for anything involving change. But even so, I'm amazed that in that time nobody has actually bothered to suggest or even come up with a new form of layout for this website, because it is one of the most migraine-inducing fucking layouts of any website I have ever seen. This is what you see on the front page of JewWatch. Yes, as you can see right there, every single piece of text is its own separate link to an article, as well as being a vomit-inducing eyesore. It's borderline incomprehensible. But maybe I've always wondered whether that's deliberate, make it harder for your average person to fucking look into it, whereas your average anti-Semite is probably going to be a lot more determined to get in there, find out what's going on. Nevertheless, if you persevere, you will find out that one of their conspiracy theories is that the Anti-Defamation League, Jewish bankers and George Soros are responsible for creating the American Nazi Party. Not only did they create it, they funded it and ran it. JewWatch then goes on to tell us a very brief overview of the history of the American Nazi Party. Here, talking about the German-American Bund, which was a pro-Nazi party. It started in 1935, and then it shows pictures of a 1939 rally. And as you can see right there at the bottom, it says it turned out the ADL was financing the whole thing. I believe them because they say so. It then talks about George Lincoln Rockwell, and who ran the American Nazi Party from 1959 to 1969. 10 years going strong, with the 6 part-time troopers and 300 followers. This is of course not true in the slightest. This is a myth put about to make it seem like the American Nazi Party wasn't actually a big deal, when truth be told they had quite a large membership. It then goes on to talk about Jews grew up surrounded by Jewish entertainers. Of course, I was just surrounded by Jewish entertainers, like we all are. We just can't move for the fuckers. Just Jews everywhere, juggling, fucking singing songs, all shot by a Jewish assistant. Rockwell was fatally shot by John Patler, a disgruntled ex-party member who he accused of trying to insert Marxist propaganda into the newsletter of the stormtrooper. Now that is a euphemism every Nazi should use at least once. Then goes on to the 1978 version of the party, the 1984 version, which was led by Frank Cohen, 1999 version, which it says was run by a monster called Wolfgang Hawk, whose birth name was Andrew Britta Greenbaum. Führer was indicted for selling penis enlargement pills on the internet. Of all the things for a Nazi to get done for, saying that, he's in the right game. He probably made a fucking shit ton, didn't he? All of the information you've just seen in those screenshots comes from a very reliable and verifiable source. Now, sadly, JewWatch.com seems to have forgotten to put a link to any of the actual sources that back all that up, but they definitely exist, right? Because, and if they don't, that's probably because just the Jews took the fucking things down, didn't they? You know, think about it. Now, sadly, whilst this is complete bollocks, it's the one conspiracy theory that if I could pick one that I would love to be true, this would be it. That the Jews created the American Nazi Party. Do you know why? Because what better way to piss on the bonfire of all those edgy fucking shitlord wannabes who go around these days, those ironic Nazis with their little fucking Pepe Le Frog, those glass of milk and their fucking green Kekistani flags. Oh yeah, I can just imagine that. Can you imagine how fucking humiliating it would be when the Jews come along going, oh look, you're fucking clever, ain't ya? Look at you with your little fucking cartoon frog. Look at that with your little made-up country. Oh yeah, you're hard, ain't ya? Yeah, look at you. Aren't you clever? Fuck you, you goy bitches. We're Jews and we invented the Nazi Party. We created it for a laugh and then funded the fucking thing. Yeah, they even got their own lobbyist a couple of years ago. Yeah, in fact, the funny thing is, because of this conspiracy theory, this is one of the things holding back the American Nazi Party from getting any membership, because none of these Nazis will join it because they've been convinced that the Jews run the fucking thing. How fucking brilliantly self-destructive are these stupid cunts? Number 4, and the Zog controls who? JewWatch very conveniently lists off a load of countries that are controlled by the Zog, which is an acronym for Zionist occupied government. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of countries there, but there are 2 which should make even the most hardened and paranoid Jew-hating white bloke do a double take. The first one is Palestine. Palestine. I mean, Palestine, for fuck's sake. If you need me to explain why that's bonkers, please leave this channel now. Go somewhere else. The second country it lists, however, is much more interesting, because according to JewWatch, another Zog-controlled country is Vatican City. I know. I thought it sounded bonkers too, but apparently, Pope Francis, or as he's known now, Pope Rabbi Shalom Francis Goldbergstein, yes, the Vatican City has been declared Zog-controlled ever since 1998, when the pontiff of the time, Pope John Paul II, issued an apology to the Jewish people for the role the Catholic Church played in World War II in assisting Hitler. It doesn't mean that the Catholic Church took 50 years to develop a sense of shame. No. It means that the Jews now run Vatican. I mean, what more proof could a man ask for? Number 5. Barbar Band. Ladies and gentlemen, right-wing nationalism is a disease that ultimately ends up infecting someone so badly that every single part of that person's life, and no matter what the subject is, no matter how tenuous, no matter how seemingly irrelevant and inert it may be, you know, the nationalists will find a way to turn it into a catalyst for their paranoid fear of the other and for their fear of change. There is no better example of this than their deluded obsession with the nursery rhyme Bar Bar Black Sheep. There is, to this day, a belief amongst many ordinary people in this country that it is illegal in many schools, and in fact it might even be illegal throughout the country, for schools to teach children the nursery rhyme Bar Bar Black Sheep. Because apparently the loony left and the PC brigade and the cultural Marxists and the SJWs and the fucking feminazis and the God knows what the fuck else and the gender communists have decided that you can't sing that because it's racist against black people. I am not a white person, although I do play one on the internet, and I can tell you quite confidently that in all the years I've dealt with people who are racist, or people who have racist views, and people who like to racially abuse ethnic minorities, I've never once heard of a black person walking down the street and having someone, you know, some white nationalist or some white supremacist suddenly start making sheep noises at them. Or that is not something any Nazi or any nationalist group has ever done, is sing Bar Bar Black Sheep at a black person walking past. And the reason this myth perpetuates is because it's got something to do, it might have something to do with the fact that certain fucking very, very conservative and right-wing newspapers in this country like to regurgitate this story every couple of years just to make sure that it stays within the realms of people, like it stays within people's memory, it's in the zeitgeist of their fucking minds at any one given time. The biggest criminal of this particular activity is, of course, the Daily fucking Mail. Here's a story from the Daily Mail from 2014. Is this the moment the world went officially mad? Well, apparently it wasn't mad enough. It wasn't any much more madder than it was, in 2012, when Bar Bar Black Sheep, how private schools abandoned nursery rhyme lyrics showing sparking political correctness accusations. How dare you accuse someone of being politically correct? That was 2012. Of course, you could go back to 2006. Bar Bar Rainbow Sheep. However, you don't even need to do a story about, you know, Bar Bar Black Sheep. The Daily Mail likes to invoke the fucking name of this nursery rhyme whenever it brings up any story that it can possibly fucking use that involves sheep. For example, this story from 2008 about Bar Bar Blue Sheep, how one farmer gave his animals a colourful makeover. Or this story from 2004, Bar Bar Black Sheep in Urdu has got nothing on vertical drinking. I have no idea what that means, but they've just they don't even know what it means. They've probably made that story up just so they can we haven't mentioned Bar Bar Black Sheep for a good couple of months, lads. Let's fucking cram it in there, shall we? Believe it or not, the right wing in this country was so offended and disgusted by this idea that Bar Bar Black Sheep had been banned that one guy, David Mortimer, even wrote an entire fucking book on it called Bar Bar Rainbow Sheep, The Charge of the PC Brigade. It is, as you can see here, advertised on Amazon, although thankfully it's out of fucking stock. It should come as no surprise to any of you. Yes, this story is complete, if I may quote Baroness Margaret Thatcher, poppycock. But not only is it poppycock, you know, nowadays, but it's actually a lot older than you think. Believe it or not, this story, this idea that Bar Bar Black Sheep has been banned in British schools, started in 1986. The original story reported a ban at a place called Beaver's Nursery, a privately run nursery school in Hackney. It was originally reported by a guy called Bill Akas, who was then a journalist at the Daily Star, in February the 15th, 1986, under the headline, "Now it's Bar Bar Blank Sheep." Now, Akas wrote this story having only heard that their ban had been issued by nursery school staff upon seeing the line Bar Bar Black Sheep on the grounds that it was racist. 3 days later, a guy called Tim Cooper, you know, who worked for the Hackney Gazette, went to Beaver's Nursery to ask the parents there whether or not they had any statement to it, you know, or reaction to, you know, the nursery issuing this ban. Apparently, according to Cooper, one of the nursery play leaders, he quoted them as saying, "We're run by parents, and if they want us to stop singing it, we would. But there have been no complaints so far, though someone once suggested it could be racist." The song wasn't banned. No one had asked for it for banned, but apparently once someone suggested maybe it could be racist, and therefore that was it. Unfortunately, at this stage, it was too late, really. In October of that year, the Daily Mail carried the story further with a headline, "Bar Green Sheep." Yes, Green Sheep reported that Haringey Council had ordered playgroup leaders to attend a racialism awareness course. This is how long ago it was. Racialism was a term still, where they were instructed that the council had banned the rhyme in its original wording, mandating the alternative green sheep wording instead. This story was ascribed to an anonymous playgroup leader. From here, the new twist on the original story was carried by the Birmingham Evening Mail, and then that became the Liverpool, which was Silly Bleat and Green Sheep. Then it was Liverpool Echo, Black Sheep in the Doghouse. Then the Yorkshire Evening Press, So Sheepish. Then the 10th of October, it was the Birmingham Post with "Racist Sheep Are a Joke." That's actually quite a good headline, that was. Then suddenly it went to the Sunday People, the News of the World, the Green Sheep Takeover, coming over here, stealing our nursery rhyme lyric, I don't know. Then the Sunday Mercury, then the Carlisle Evening News went with Bernie Bleat, Bernie Bleat, Barmy. Doesn't even make sense. And in 1998, then 14th of October, the Yorkshire Evening Courier ran with it. And then on the 15th of October, the Liverpool Echo went with "Just Barmy." And the Ipswich Evening Star went with it 2 days later with "A Load of Wallies." Oh, a load of woolies. A load of woolies spelt with an O and one A. I have no idea how that makes any sense. The story would reappear now every couple of years since then, and you'd think even the most dense Daily Mail reader would at some point ask themselves, hold on, if this has already been banned, it be banned again? Didn't they ban this 2 years ago, and then 2 years before that, and every couple of years since 1986? But apparently I underestimated how fucking thick these people were. However, in 2006, there was a huge resurgence in this Bar Black Sheep story, right? But unlike all the other times before, this time the PC Brigade hadn't banned Bar Black Sheep. No, they had changed the lyrics even further. Right, now you think this would be seen as somewhat of a, well, you know, it's a compromise. They're not banning it, they're just changing the lyrics. But no, they had changed the lyrics. Apparently, you know, in the eyes of the Daily Mail, and indeed the right-wing conservatives of the United Kingdom in general, this was somehow even worse. They might as well have been caught with their hand in the Queen Mum's knickers while she was asleep. Daily Mail even went as far as comparing the people who had changed these lyrics to Nazis. Yes, fucking Nazis. Remember that next time you hear someone going on about throwing the word Nazi around frivolously. The Daily Mail compared people who had changed the lyrics to Bar Black Sheep to fucking Nazis. Now, but this wasn't a case of them banning it because they thought it was racist. This was in fact completely different. Two nurseries in Oxfordshire, that was it, had decided to go from Bar Black Sheep to Bar Rainbow Sheep. Whilst this was far from political correctness gone too far, this was actually an educational reason for this. It had nothing to do with race or politics whatsoever. It was called Parents and Children Together, or PACT. PACT said that children were encouraged to use a wide range of words in songs. The PACT has established that children sing a variety of descriptive words in nursery rhymes to turn the song into an action rhyme. They sing happy, sad, bouncing, hopping, pink, blue, black and white sheep, etc. And they also exchange boy and girl at the end of the rhyme. Right? Fucking gender communism strikes again. Right? This encourages the children to extend their vocabulary and use up their energy. Well, it's no wonder the Daily Mail was so pissed off, because if there's one thing children being taught and to have an extensive and increased vocabulary, they are much less likely to grow up to become fucking Daily Mail readers. And number 6, it had to be some stupid shit that David Icke believed, and I've gone for the shape-shifting lizards from outer space that control the planet. Now, we've all heard this one before, the old lizards from outer space, and I'm willing to bet that many of you listening to this probably up until now thought that it was a joke, like the way people used to think Nambla was a joke because they saw it on South Park, but in fact it turned out to be fucking real. One of those ones you actually sit there and think nobody could possibly, nobody, regardless of how much they, how inbred or how much, how many times their parents threw them down the stairs in the morning. No, nobody could possibly believe this insane bollocks, surely. Well, clearly, you forgot that you live in a world that has David Icke in it. Because as long as he is alive and breathing, David Icke will always be the answer to the question, what kind of nutter would believe this horseshit? In his time, David Icke has found literally no conspiracy theory that is too bonkers for him to go for. From, the Nibiru, Planet X, to that we live in the Matrix, to the protocols of the Elders of Zion still being an actual historical document. It's just him and the population of Iran that belie that one. Giant skeletons of the Nephilim being real, to the moon being fake. No, not the moon landing. To the actual fucking moon being fake. He has believed all of it. Every last bit. And regardless of all of David Icke's mad beliefs, for me it will always be the fact that he believes that shape-shifting reptilians from outer space that have transformed into human-like form control the planet. All of the world leaders, etc. Now this is demonstrated here by so that's a pair of glasses. That is a guy called Mr. Croc O'Doyle. He's an Irishman. Hello there. The one thing about the whole lizard reptilian sort of people being in charge of the planet, this always pissed me off, is why is every single person I've ever seen going on about, nobody has ever brought up Newt Gingrich. Nobody. I mean, you'd think he would be prime suspect number one, Newt Gingrich. Now, in February of 2017, so that's less than a year ago, David Icke was interviewed in The Express. But there was an interview about this particular conspiracy, and this is how the interview went. I'm going to give it to you word for word. I want you to see how just matter of fact, water off a duck's back, as if he was just teaching you how to make a cup of fucking tea. Icke was asked by the interviewer if he genuinely believed in the theory and where it stemmed from. He said, "Oh God, yes. I did not sit in a dark room and come up with this theory, nor go looking for it." And that is the first clue that he definitely did sit in a darkened room. It says a lot. Does anyone else just find it hilarious that the first question, how many fucking times have you seen a journalist interviewing someone that they've chosen to interview, and the first question they ask is, so you don't really, do you actually, this is what you really, seriously? I'm willing to bet that nobody, even at the fucking Express, actually wanted this gig. David Icke continues, "I have travelled and been to 50 countries to research it." He said people all over the globe have provided the same evidence to back up the theory, including CIA insiders. I don't know why he needed to go on a world tour, research the idea that the Queen is actually a 7-foot-tall iguana from the planet Zorb. Sounds like he just wanted an excuse for a holiday to me, right? And why is it conspiracy theorists always seem to think that when their theory has been backed up or verified by CIA insiders, suddenly that makes it a credible theory? In every conspiracy, the CIA are either behind it, or their denial is a tacit admission that it's definitely true. If I had a conspiracy theory I was trying to prove was true, nothing would make me abandon it quicker than having it confirmed by anyone who was from the CIA. That should tell you your theory is a massive pile of shit. If Alex Jones didn't exist, the CIA would probably invent someone to play him. Anyway, back to the interview. Icke said, It took the form of meeting people who tell their experiences of seeing people, often in positions of power, change from human form to a reptilian form and back again in front of their eyes. Yes, David, there sadly is a lot of undiagnosed psychotics who are homeless and left wandering the streets due to their country having very poor healthcare systems. This doesn't mean you should go up and bother them and take everything they say as gospel. Icke claimed that ancient texts across the world, including the Bible, had accounts of reptiles interbreeding with humans to form these hybrid bloodlines. Now, I don't know about you, but I must have somehow missed that part of the Bible. You know, that part that goes into graphic detail about the apparently many instances of young men going out and arse raping reptiles. What was this in the Gospel according to Saint Gordon of Gecko? Lo, young Zachariah did encounter a female Komodo dragon, and she was a right proper flirtatious little slag, and so he did sling one up her, and she knew it was good. I mean, I'm not even judging the men who did this. I mean, Lord knows if I had been God knows what I would have stuck my knob in if I had to live in the early days of the Bible and find some way to relieve the boredom that I couldn't do that I normally do nowadays. I'm just curious as to how detailed accounts of these many incidents of man-on-lizard bum rape actually exist. Who kept them? More to the point, what nutter goes out, fucks a reptile, presumably with that being the plan all along? I can't believe he was that desperate, or he was trying to win one of those pull an ugly bird competitions, right? But who goes out and does that and then thinks, oh, do you know what? I better go down the local council office, make sure they keep a record of this. I don't want this fucking... They need to keep score of it. Who does that? I mean, these are men, aren't they? Men, you're supposed to lie. I also love how David just skips right over that minor, small, tiny little issue. How the fuck can a human being breed with a reptile? I mean, when did that suddenly... Yeah, did you notice? He just sort of said it. It wasn't like... I mean, was this something that only happened back in the Bible? Was this only happened in biblical times? Or could it still happen today? If I went out and just, you know, because that's who what I'm into, that's what I want, or maybe it's not even what I want. I'm just trying something out. You know, also, did any of the men who ended up impregnating all of these lizards, and producing these hybrid lizard offspring, did they know that this was possible when they were doing it? Imagine trying to deny that you're the father when of these fucking things when your wife finds out. I'm sure that in David Icke's syphilitic, pox-ridden brain of a half-man, half-reptile hybrid seems perfectly normal. But for those of us whose mothers didn't drink varnish every day while she was pregnant, this sounds kind of batshit bonkers, doesn't it? Oh no, he continues. Icke said, and these hybrids became demigods, part human, part god. Right, wait, so they before they were half human, half reptile, but now they're gods, so they're half human, half god? Well, how does that... What happened to the reptile part? Does the reptile part not count anymore? Is reptile included within the human part? Because it says part human, part god. Is it like 25? Does the reptile part want no part of this? Does it not interested in the god bit? Is it like, fuck you, I'll stay. The human bit, you can go. What is the reptile? Where's the reptile bit gone? Did the reptile just not want the hassle or the responsibility of this, right? And forgive me for repeating myself, but I'm almost at this stage 100% sure that this whole worshipping the lizard people stuff was definitely not in the fucking Bible. I definitely would have remembered that. Someone in the last 10 years of YouTube atheism would have mentioned it, surely. Keep in mind, at this stage, David Icke has only said 4 full sentences, and look where we've gone. He goes, well, in ancient time, men fucked reptiles. These reptiles sometimes produced offspring with the humans, and then they became gods. I mean, like, it's just gone He continues, the hybrid bloodlines were the ones that became the royal families of the world. Okay, yeah, why not? Fuck it, right? Yeah. In the Chinese Empire, they claim the right to be emperor because they are descended from a serpent god. And I bet you thought all along that that was meant to be figuratively taken. Yeah, I bet you thought that was a metaphor or some kind of symbolism. You stupid bastard. Of course the Chinese are part snake. I mean, look at them, you know. I mean, look at them. I mean, I'm not going to do the thing, but, you know, look at them. I mean, you know, it's as obvious as it is. It's as obvious that these people are, you know, descended from reptiles as it is that the other half of them is descended from alien greys. I mean, obviously what happened was at some point in history, alien greys landed from outer space, fucked a load of snakes, and they produced an offspring that we now refer to as Chinese.
Now, who can argue with that? Rabbit!
But wait, there's more. Look at ancient texts and the Bible. Do you really think the snake in the Garden of Eden was really a snake? Of course. It's all clear to me now, people. It's all fucking clear. I mean, this sums David Icke up in the best way. I mean, David Icke is a man who believes the book of Genesis is a literal story. But he's skeptical enough to fucking not fall for that fucking snake bullshit. The Hebrew name for snake means two-legged, standing, upright, humanoid reptile. But of course it was. I mean, duh, it was a walking, talking humanoid, so tuxedo, fucking stiletto heels, you know, dipped fedora. Whatever you do, folks, don't do what I did and look up what the Hebrew definition of snake or serpent is, because you'll probably find that what I did, which is no actual Hebrew dictionary, gives you the definition that he's given you there. Not even close. You know, but they wouldn't, would they? You know? Icke was also asked why, if shape-shifting lizards were running the world, why was he able to talk about it and remain safe? Bloody good question for the Express. I think we found your level here, people. He said, there are also forces on this planet that do not want this. Those forces, David, are called reality. I don't care if people believe it. I'm interested in what is going on and not winning popularity contests. Well, that's very convenient, David, because as amusing as your theories are, I'm often thankful that, particularly in this day and age, that they won't ever spread too far, largely because you are such a charmless, shit-faced, arsey little wanker. Yeah? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my list. That's all I've got. If you've got any else, or you've got any other ones that you think are funnier, then by all means, post them in the comments below. My name is Dick Coughlin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this channel, please give this video a thumbs up. Please share the video around. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to support me and the work that I do on here, I remember this is my full-time job. I have to do this because I'm disabled. Right? Then please do go to my Patreon, chuck a buck or two on that. It would might help. My goal this month is to get to 500 before the end of the month. That is my goal. I need to get there. I need your help. Please consider giving it a go. But other than that, I'm Dick Coughlin from What a Cunt You Are. And remember this, folks. Conspiracist. It starts with a con, and it always ends with a racist. I'm Dick Coughlin from What a Cunt You Are. Thank you. Good night. May God bless.